The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is currently 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
All right. No such a long talk today, right? So let's kick it off as we always do. Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, and also to the ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, the Tainos and the Kalinagos, because we know, accept, and reiterate that Columbus lied. But again, Tony P and the P this week stands for
prom night, brother. Prom night.
Brother man, we don't have proms in Trinidad.
Listen, tell that to all the teenagers who getting ready for graduation now.
We have
tell
graduations.
Them that. I know about that, right?
All right. They know about prom.
They know prom. Just like we are Java. No.
Yeah, we are saying that. Really quickly before we move forward, I want to wipe my feet at the TTPS officer who last week in a roadblock said that is what we come out here to look for. Because they were issuing tickets and saw someone with a faulty headlight. And his comment is, that is what we come out here to look for. And then proceeded to put the driver on the side of the road to search him down. Because that's where you come to look for. I know you're doing your job, but be mindful of the things you say while executing your job. Because it's not a good look. Let's just leave it at that. I won't go any further. Right? We have two guests tonight. So, Vorish, take it away.
Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room.
And we are back after that lovely musical introduction. And we are joined by Miss Roberta Rose Collins of the Royalty Fan Night Foundation or group or whatever is the proper name of it, right? Right. So we really pressed for time today, so we're getting right down to the business.
Yep.
Who is Royalty Fan Night?
All right. Well, thanks for having me. First off, and it's the Royalty for a Night project, and basically, Royalty for a Night is a project that collects gently used and new formal wear and distributes to secondary school students who are graduating and may find themselves in a little difficulty in getting formal wear to go to graduation.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Right. And how long have you all been in existence?
We've been doing this for the past 7 years. And we have, yes, for the past 7 years. And we've done hundreds of students over that time.
7 years is just out of the window when I would have graduated and benefited from such a project. So
what?
Just out.
We're sorry about that, Ricardo.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I'm glad that you're there now, though.
What did you graduate from 7 years ago, Ricardo?
Just out of graduating. Just out. I am curious though. You see gently used, right? In terms of the sizing and that type of thing, if you all get this stuff beforehand, you would be able to have them tailored to, let's say, bring some of the older trends up to style to fit the sizes of the students, or after a collection that is.
That's it. So our collection window is kind of tight. So we're in collection right now, and we distribute early June. so that students have the opportunity, if they do need to make those alterations, to do it themselves. So we try to do it as early as possible to give them that chance. We also ask that persons who are contributing remember that this is a special milestone event, and that we bear that in mind when we're looking through what we want to donate. So we're looking for formal wear. We're looking for the glitz and glam that graduation brings for those kids.
Yeah. Good. Because some people just take the opportunity to just offload.
Yeah,
things.
and I will say that we have not had too much of that, thankfully. We've been blessed. We have stores, we have boutiques that would call up and say, come and get off the rack dresses, for instance. Our biggest challenge, Ricardo and Aaron, I will tell you, is getting guys to give suits and shirts and ties. And the young men come looking out for it, and we can only give what we get. So that is always, I haven't cracked the code yet on how to get the men to give those things.
Well, you all know I'm always a sucker for a good cause and always try to help where I can. So put me down for a suit at least.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Right?
Aaron, when you pass to drop my birthday roti, you will collect one from here as well. Appreciate it.
No, well, what you could do, Ricardo, since you are so suitably located in Marbella, because since Marbella is one of the best communities in southern Trinidad, I think that's one of the collection. That's one of the collection points, Roberto, somewhere in Marbella.
That is correct. So one of the things that we've done is try to make it easy for persons to give. So we have drop-off locations, and also easy for us to collect, because you can imagine us trying to move around to get to everyone is going to be challenging. So there is a place called Boba and Brew, in Marbella. I believe they're in Gopal Land.
Yeah, that's the
Super
Gopal
Center
Land
compound, close to Mario's. They collect for us in South. For Central, we have Bubble Cups in Price Plaza and Wing It on Arapita Avenue. These businesses have given us the opportunity to use their spaces to collect on our behalf.
And shoes, because I know shoes is a real ticklish thing, especially when it comes to, well, I know for the ladies, the shoe is just for the picture most times. And it is going to flats like 10 seconds later because the heels just be so high. And then for gents, I know the variant styles,
Yeah. So we collect accessories. So like I tell people, just close your eyes, picture what a graduating student would look like, all dressed and ready for grad. That's what we try to give them. So we do handbags, so those clutch purses. We do accessories, shoes. And as you said, for a lot of the ladies, the shoe is purchased with the dress and for that occasion, and then it's, put in storage. So we usually get women donating those shoes as well as part of the outfit. We also, and this is something that a lot of people don't know, we link them up with barbering services and hairdressers and nail techs, and like I say, just as much as possible to get these young people outfitted for one of the biggest nights of their lives, really. So it's a milestone event. And for some students, they never enter a classroom again. So this is the first and only graduation that they will ever attend. Yeah, so we also incorporate life skill sessions into the event because we already have the young people there. And the way it's done, it's not crowded. The space where it's set up to distribute the gowns are not crowded. So we have these young people sitting, waiting to be served. And so instead of having them just there on their phones, we do life skill sessions. So for instance, tips on resume writing. One time we did etiquette, so they learn how to drink soup. Things like how to hold a lady when you're dancing. Little things that you may think is not, like, you may think that lots of people know, but these young people don't get exposed to a lot of this all the time. So we try to infuse that. So this year we have a barber coming who I can't remember his name, right? Kyle. And he actually has a roving barber thingamajiggy, a van. And so he's gonna come not just to share about cutting hair, but entrepreneurship, because not everybody is gonna be able to go into a corporate setting. Yeah. We have mindset coaches coming to share some tips with them. So it's not just that they come and they get a gown. We try to share as much as we can in the small space of time that we have them there. Yes.
Roberta, as we close off to the social media contacts, the contacts that people are going to call to donate suits only or dresses, because we always say when we give our contact information, it's for business purposes only.
Yeah, so my contact is 389-9046. That's 389-9046. I'm on WhatsApp. They can call or message. We also have an Instagram and Facebook account, which I monitor that as well very closely. So once messages come in, I try my best to respond in quick time. And Instagram, the handle is Royalty for a Night 868. And Facebook, it's Royalty for a Night.
All right, so Roberta, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us inside the living room. As you said, Ricardo will walk and drop off his stuff, and I will drop off mine as well.
Ready.
Right.
Much appreciated.
But thank you for your time, and also thank you to you and the team for putting together an initiative like this, because it's things like this that continue to pay it forward. Because without paying it forward, the buck would stop there.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Roberta, for that lovely interview. We know we kind of rushed things through, and we continue in the rush right now as we get ready to welcome our next guest in. So, Ricardo, you could read the bio and then welcome Vorish for the second time.
We continue the conversations about the online grooming. And this evening with us, we have Tanya Marie Dickson. She is a multi-potentialite. She's an entrepreneur, journalist in training, and activist of Trinidadian descent. Tanya is the co-founder of Rev Mode, a new age metaphysical shop located in Dominica. She enjoys helping persons awaken their healing powers and find self-love with the use of metaphysical tools and education. She's responsible for running all facets of the business, including sales. Tanya has a proven executive management track record with over 5 years in the hospitality and broadcasting and advertising industries. And as a journalist in training, she is known as someone who will leave no stone unturned in her unwavering search for truth and can be relied on to ask the difficult questions that make others squirm. She enjoys shedding light on the hidden issues of the Dominican society. But Tanya also has the biggest heart. In her role as ambassador for the Dominica Child Protection Society, she uses her experience with child sexual abuse and training as a life coach to help Dominican children who are at risk of sexual abuse. Through interactive speaking engagements, Tanya educates the youth about sexual abuse prevention and empowers them to unleash their voice. And when not working, she enjoys soaking in natural hot sulfur pools and chasing after her boisterous 6-year-old. So, Vorish, take it away.
Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room.
We had a guest prior to this, so we're welcoming another guest. So we played Vorish twice. They got pull up.
What do your DJs call that? A money pull up or something along those lines?
And we welcome in the living room, as advertised this evening, totally ignoring Ricardo, Miss Tanya Marie Dickson.
Hey.
Tanya, we are going to kick it off with probably the most difficult question you're going to get inside today's session with us, right? Is not where's the scene jelly bean, or what's the gist therapist, or what's the word hummingbird? We ask you, how are you?
I would say I feel like I am sometimes or most times in a very cloudy space because I feel like the world is doing a lot lately. You know what I mean? It gets kind of like, where am I? It's like, beam me up, Scotty. You know, it's crazy out here. The things I'm seeing in the news, the things I'm just hearing out of people's mouths. But otherwise, I've been able to go within, work on self, and, you know, just have more moments of, you know, peace, contentment, happiness. Yeah, so I would say I'm human. Yeah, that's the response. I'm human. Yeah. Or maybe I'm like a spiritual being having a human experience. I like to put it like that. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And if again, while with this thing, you're in Trinidad now or Dominica?
I'm in Dominica now. I live Dominica. Yeah.
All right.
I live Dominica. I haven't been to Trinidad in a very long time. And I love my home, but I just don't think it's a place for me to live. I have fallen in love with Dominica. And maybe I fallen in love with Dominica for a reason. I'm not going to lie. I was chasing something. I found it here, which is a sort of a rejuvenation, a peace that I think only this nature across here could have given to me.
And totally off topic here. What's your favorite food across there?
Favorite food? Oh wow, that's tricky. What is called that now? No, not that, no. I don't gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest. Maybe I like the seafood. On the whole, I like any type of seafood across here, like when they make a little lamby water and a little, you know, conch. And yeah, I into that kind of little raw, little fish eggs there, lobsters that just, when I first came here, I had a guy that was into me and he would bring me some big lobsters. And I just was like, you know, we can't afford that in Trinidad.
Right.
These fellas was diving and picking that up and grilling that. So it's like I could eat that at any point in time. I was so blown. Yeah, I love the seafood of the island, to be honest. Yeah. I would say bakes, but bakes everywhere and it's not that so special to Dominica, you know. Stuffed bakes, not special. So seafood like the lamby, you know. A smoked chicken soup too. A smoked chicken soup. Yeah.
Well, the engagements we've had with Dominica over the past couple of years through the work of the Sophia Miriam Foundation, I could completely understand why you would have fallen in love with the island, why you would have found what you're looking for over there. So, hey, Deborah, how are you going? Deborah Charles Mark, you know, and Princess, that's all people. Okay. So, you mentioned something interesting, and I cannot pass up this opportunity for such a smooth segue. But you mentioned that there was a guy who was into you and he was bringing lobster the way Iran might pick a mango. Yeah.
That can't compare though. Those two can't compare, but that's all right. A mango can't compare to lobster.
You never see Iran try to climb a tree. But anyway, let me not make this about him. Right? We're in 2023. A lot of relationships begin online here. Right? So yeah, Aaron, I see you swiping left and right and up and that type of thing. What is the line between online courtship and grooming?
Well, I think that's just really self-explanatory. When it comes to courting, we are suggesting there's equality. Yeah? So it's between two individuals, two adults, or two minors. There's equality there, right? So, you know, consent and equality. But with grooming, the difference is that there's someone in position of power and authority over someone else. And that other person is vulnerable. So it's whether they're vulnerable via age, could be a minor and an adult, or they're vulnerable maybe by disability. Maybe they're vulnerable by capacity. You could be vulnerable by even your immigration status. You could be vulnerable by, you understand, your culture, your religion. So, but grooming is someone in authority, someone having that power over someone with less power. But courting online, yeah, that's a lot of what we're doing now. Courting suggests there's equality. Courting suggests it's you and me, into this. I old enough to understand. I'm in a position to, you don't have no power over me. I'm not in a vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the courting, I don't know. I think we have more grooming than courting happening online. When we see things like catfish, that series has me like, wow, people are just being groomed online. They're selling people money. They're doing all kinds of things. The other one, I think it's on TLC, with the people getting married from different countries. It's clear as day. A lot of those people are being groomed so that people can have a visa,
Right.
citizenship. You know what I mean? They don't love you. They don't care about you. They're just trying to groom you to do certain things, take advantage of you. So that's online grooming in a general, look of it.
So that actually leads into another question that was going to come up later. So grooming is not restricted to just adult or minor. You could have adults grooming adults based on a difference in authority or...
Yes, grooming is not restricted to just minors. Remember, it's basically a practice of manipulating a person who is actually or potentially vulnerable. It's not about just a person being a minor or, a person being disabled. There are many ways you become vulnerable and someone can groom you. So no one is immune to grooming. And some are more susceptible than others, as some of us are just more susceptible to that, to catching those traps.
And I know based on the initial article, which we started this entire discussion on, it was in terms of adult men and a minor, a young lady. Well, a fictitious online profile, to be specific. But just for clarity's sake here and transparency across the platform, is it that grooming can take place between older men and younger men and older women and younger women, same genders and stuff like that?
Of course, no one is immune to grooming. No one is immune to grooming. But statistics have shown that basically 82% of the online predators are male. They're males. So it's hardly women. Women do it too, of course, but males are the big subset,
4 out of 5. 4 out of the 5 groomers
Are
going to be
male.
men.
No,
Going
but
to be men. And it could be men, yes, trying to groom women or young women or children, which are male or female.
the reason why I asked that is because, just for clarity's sake, because people may continue to think that this is just a one gender thing.
That's kind of sad, That's actually that's actually a whole other question that I can think about, when it comes to how our reaction to this type of issue in the Caribbean especially. We're still very, very, what's the word to describe that now?
Archaic, naive.
I don't want to say archaic, naive.
Yeah,
a lot
Ricardo.
of naivety, a lack of knowledge on the issue, the topic. For you to think it could just be man looking for a little girl, or man, it's just, and they think of it too as man looking for a little girl alone, when it could be man looking for several girls to do human trafficking, or to do some pornography. There's so many ways this online grooming can take place. And it's not just a man looking for a little girl to send pictures to. It's just so many ways. We could be playing games in Minecraft and I'm sending you messages. I'm recruiting you inside of there. So there's so much to learn. And I just think that we need to be a little more aware, a little more learned in the area, in the field.
Listen, the lack of sophistication we have when it comes to what we up against, it's almost like I don't want to say we make it easy, but we don't realize how sophisticated the approaches of our groomer or potential predator are. They don't understand that, listen, you could send out your daughter with a group of friends, and a groomer would have facilitated that already. Yeah, bring them, man. Nice small thing. I will buy all the movie tickets. So,
and then he'll send the others home. You all go ahead, and I'll drop her home. You know, it's very sophisticated. You're very right, and I think we don't have the right resources to really provide that structure for online grooming and child sexual abuse on the whole. I just don't think we have a strong structure in place for issues like that.
You see, again, these kind of topics, they really do trigger me because of purely based on the fact of where I work. Up to last week, Thursday, I think it was, I received a very disturbing phone call about a situation like this where a mother was scared for her daughter about some interactions that she saw when she went through her daughter's phone. And the mother wasn't sure if the conversation that the daughter was having could be considered, well, she knew it was an appropriate one, but if it could be considered, if it was her being groomed or if it was a form of sexual abuse because of some of the things which were being sent.
Yeah.
So
that's a tricky one, I think, for a lot of us, knowing the difference if grooming is sexual abuse. Now, a lot of when I was reading a lot on it, they would tell you that grooming is not sexual abuse, but that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? A lot of courts would say it is the preceding, it is the preparation for the act, sexual act, which means if it's the preparation for the sexual act, it means then it can be considered a crime. It facilitates a crime. And so that's why it can be used and it can be seen as sexual abuse. You're sending a young lady pictures of your private parts, or you are sexting. Do this for me for $600. Do that for me. I'll give you this. So it is confusing, but I think once there's the things I would look for to confirm for me if I have a child going through that is that level of privacy. You see that thing called secret? The abuser is depending on secrecy. So if I find she herself is very secretive with these things, I'm looking at the messages where he's saying, don't tell anyone, because this could happen, it'll be your fault, things like that I would look at. And is he offering her certain things? What is he asking her to do? What is his age? You know what I mean? And that should be the first thing. How old that man be? To be sending messages that, why would she have such a good relationship with such an older person? And you're not aware of it. That secrecy, again, secrecy is both the source of fear and the promise of safety. That's a big deal. So they're using that to make you feel scared, right? Because when you hear don't tell anybody, something is wrong. And a child knows if you tell them, don't tell anybody that. They know, well, something's up with that. That's a bad thing. That's a dangerous thing. But at the same time, they're telling you, don't tell anybody else. I will hurt you. And so I can't tell anybody if I want to be safe. So there are things you can look at. And I mean, I'm a big spiritual person. Intuition. When you read those messages, it's not right. You don't know that man, that message in your child. They chummy. You need to lock that up. You need to stop that immediately.
What? I see you have something to say, Ricardo. But as an avid CSI watcher, right?
Me too. I love it.
Yeah. Even though Horatio, they still drive my mad, even though they show that. Anyhow, they always talk about the premeditation, the thought of it being the first step in that crime. Mm-hmm. And if you are saying here that they are saying that the online grooming is not sexual abuse, but it could lead to it, then for me, it's like, you know what? You could toe the line, but don't cross it now. And that is where the blur happens.
You could totally lie, but don't cross it. That we get into a deep kind of conversation there. How would you totally lie? Let's talk about how you totally lie.
I
If
don't
we
want
are
to get into that.
perpetrators, I just say if we are perpetrators, how do we not cross the line? What would we be saying that doesn't cross the line? What would we be doing that doesn't cross the line? What would I just be saying? Hi, how are you? I mean, it's a funny thing in my head. I think I see it as child sexual abuse, and it is in the law books of many countries. It can be used to prosecute.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like,
all, but some people will tell you it's not. It's like you say. But how do we differentiate that? That's a real thin line, eh? So fine, Ricardo. Like how do?
what I watching here, and I understand why you're asking that question, because unless you clearly demark the illegality of this action and the illegality of the intent of the action, what you telling me is I could break in a place and if I ain't thief nothing, is not robbery, right?
So broke in a place, you still had no
right
breaking the entry.
So if you catch me picking the lock, but I ain't gone inside yet, you telling me you can't prosecute me because I ain't break the law yet? Don't do me that.
Which is nonsense. I think that's a lot. That's the issues that people probably having. Because we had a case. It wasn't a case actually. It was something that made me. We had an event over here. I'm very I still get a little upset about it. Where a talk show host some text messages, WhatsApp messages, they were released into public domain of him basically courting a young girl, asking her for certain sexual acts and paying her for it, offering money for it. So to me, it's very clear there. That's clear, right? That's clear. You grooming.
Yeah,
Nothing came out of that.
Transaction.
Nothing came out of that. So it makes you wonder what, as you rightfully said, then what it is. What it is. What do we need? Because I think that's clear evidence that person needs to be prosecuted, taken to court, go through a process of being questioned or whatever it is. To, of course, find out. We don't have to find out. We know his intentions. He made it very clear. He made it very clear. In cases like we mentioned in here, maybe, the person who Aaron was saying, you're not sure. I guess you have to give it time. You're right. People could do certain things and just play it cool, but Aaron, I be confused with that, to be honest with you. I just don't see why, in the case of an adult and sexual abuse of a child, why does a grown man or a grown woman want to be so friendly with a stranger child, a child who's a stranger to you? I just find that to be weird.
Oh, Tanya, there's something you're saying here that is scaring me, and the reason it's scaring me is because I remember reading, this have to be about 25 years ago, that familiarity breeds attempt.
Right.
We grew up in the 80s and the early 90s with the stranger danger concept. Right? You're looking for people offering you candy out of the back of a panel van and saying that is what you were supposed to be afraid of.
Yes, no, you know.
But the reality is that the majority of child sex abuse predators and perpetrators are people that you know.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. There are people that you know, but still we are online. And sometimes it's people that you know online too, But now we are exposed to it's like we connected all over the world. You must meet with more strangers are going to be, how to say it now? You're going to be easily accessible to more strangers now, right?
In the Roblox chat and in the
on the internet, on the World Wide Web. We're on the World Wide Web. So yes, you're right. Most of the sexual predators are people that they're not strangers. But I think when we move to online grooming, you're opening up yourself to even more. And the more is strangers now too. The pedophiles all over the world, the human traffickers all over the world, the producers of pornography all over the world, child pornography. So you're opening up yourself to more and to the strangers. And yes, we still have some of our family members still hop online and pretend to be somebody else to lure us in. They do. They definitely do.
Yeah, and then when they catch you in something that you should not be in, they're using that to leverage because you're frightened, you're afraid to get in trouble. So I am. This thing, you see, what upsets me about this is that we fail to realize as a society that these predators didn't come here from the moon, These are people who are walking among us.
Yeah.
They're in your office at work.
Your neighbor.
They're in the line in the bank, they're running.
They're your father. It's probably your mother, your brother, your sister, your good homie, your friend. Yeah, that's how deep it goes. There are a lot of people that are very traumatized and sick and need help. And they prey on the vulnerable.
You keep referring to vulnerability as a point of reference here. With the work that you have been doing, have you identified any particular vulnerability of persons from the Caribbean?
I find the highest one is age. But of course, we have disability. Age is just the thing when it comes to online grooming. We're looking at child sexual abuse then happening. We're looking at older men and women preying on minors. So age is the vulnerability. Disability too, because we have a lot of kids who may be Down syndrome, or that I just said that, and that just makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah, Down syndrome kids
on the spectrum.
Yeah, on the spectrum that they take advantage of. What else? We have the other grooming, the financial type grooming and stuff too, But I find in the Caribbean we have a lot of the grooming of minors, which leads to child sexual abuse. That's what I feel. That's how I think of it. That's what I see a lot of.
So we could safely say that children are the most at-risk group.
Yeah, of course, the naive ones. Yeah.
No, here to catch with this, right?
Well, when you talk about grooming, Ricardo, they usually link that to child sexual abuse, to grooming of minors. They tend to talk more about children when we talk about grooming. So.
Are there particular groups within childhood or adolescent that appear to be more susceptible than others? Because I know the disabled or differently abled kids on the spectrum, that's one group. But I mean, single children, kids in large families, is there anything?
Well, yeah, you definitely already hitting the nail on the head. Of course, there's some things that can definitely make a child more at a higher risk, being a victim. And you tend to find the children with the behavioral issues, like high attention seeking type kids, sometimes just coming from a stressful home environment, where there's already domestic abuse taking place, being previously abused sexually, having a history of that. Yeah, it increases your chances of again being groomed, being abused, low self-esteem, kids with low self-esteem, kids that have unmonitored access to tech. And I think as parents know what we're doing there, leaving our kids online all day by themselves to just choose what they want, do what they want. So those tend to be very much at a high risk of online grooming and being sexually abused. I think a big one too is the poor communication. Kids that don't really communicate well with their parents, or parents are having a great rapport with their kids. You find that they tend to be at a high risk. Loneliness, Children of the LGBTQ, they tend to be at a higher risk. So that's another group for you to, And children who just don't understand boundaries. They're not being taught about, the good touch, the bad touch. They're not understanding what is good, what feels good to them, and what makes them uncomfortable. So they don't have that understanding of boundaries. Blended families, like you said, for sure, having the stepmom and the stepdads and the stepbrothers and stepsisters, you tend to find that they have a higher chance, of being abused. Yeah, that's the ones I can think of off the top of my head. It sounds like a lot, it sounds like everybody, yeah? And it's the truth. It's like this thing can happen to, like I said before, it's not immune to anyone.
And several of the groups that you mentioned there have overlapping features.
Yeah.
Right. A single child could suffer from as much loneliness as a child who is in a large family and feel like they don't get enough attention. Right. Kids who struggle with their identities would be receptive to somebody making them feel welcome.
Exactly.
Right. So there are things that overlap, which is why, as Sean C said it last week, the communication, the transparent, open communication with the kids on an individual level is important as well.
It's very important. Making sure that you are approachable as a parent. And when you see things happening, don't just lose your mind. You know what I mean? Stay calm. You've got to stay calm, because the last thing you want to do is make this child just go like, oh, you never understand. You'll never get it. You see, you never trust me. You don't want them to react in a way where they pull away. You want to have that relationship with them. So be approachable always. Even when you're mad, take a little time to take a breath. But be approachable. Be open to listening. Always approach anything that's happening in calmness. It's very, very important. I think I told you about that before, Ricardo. Just keeping it real too as a parent. Sometimes you are just not the one that they want to talk to. It hurts. It really hurts. But you should ensure that they have this trusted adult that they can talk to. Somebody else that they can confide in and they feel comfortable telling them whatever it may be, their experiences. Don't get jealous.
Not user 653218952.
No. Somebody in person that you know.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. You understand?
Chocolate gamer Faizabad 74.
Chocolate gamer Faizabad.
Why you had to go Faizabad though?
No matter where I call it was gonna song bad. Right?
But the man from Faizabad was in the article, not so? That's probably why he remembered to say that.
It's true.
Well done. Good save.
I don't want to bash down and nobody in
village. No village.
Good save, Tanya.
Yeah. But
it was in the article, the guy who was grooming the AI girl.
Correct is right.
One of them, can remember, it was like 100 and something like that, man. Anyhow,
400 plus friend requests in 24 hours,
Yeah, like listening to all these different things. I think the importance of having, as you said, Ricardo, then the attention, because during this conversation, you and I, we aren't parents. Yes, we have some parental input in young persons coming up, but being a parent and having to deal with these scenarios is something totally different to having a parental input in someone's life.
Yeah, I will not hesitate to say that I am a father figure, and I've been a father figure from my teens. Right, I parent parents.
So basically, old before you're young.
I old when I was young.
It's important that he says that, because remember, we just talked about trusted adult. You don't have to be someone who is going to be responsible for protecting a child from these types of experiences like online grooming and child sexual abuse. You don't have to be a parent. But what if you are that trusted adult? That child is call you a uncle, even though you're not really uncle by blood. But you are that mentor, you are that person they look up to. So I think it's important that each and every one of us, all adults, learn, we teach ourselves, we keep learning of how we can help with this whole issue. How can we be prepared to help kids? Everybody have to learn. Nobody left out at all.
Parents, adults, I want you all to understand something. What we grew up with wasn't working. Go and hug uncle this. Go and give auntie that a kiss. The only when they're tickling and you tell them stop and they don't want to stop. Oh gosh, they was just playing with you. All of those things, right, are teaching kids that it's okay for their boundaries to be violated. We have to cut that nonsense out. Right? If you offended because a little child is upset with you for tickling or hugging or anything too much,
or saying don't touch me, I don't want to play that game.
I definitely agree with you. What we did back then it wasn't right. It wasn't right to go and give them the kiss. Why are you behaving so? If a child does not feel comfortable embracing an adult, kissing them, hugging them, sitting on their lap, I don't promote that at all. You know, don't force that child to do that, because then you're confusing that child about their body boundaries. You know, you're going to confuse their mind. It's like one side of your brain saying, I don't like what I feel. Next side say, but mommy tell me I must do it. You know, and mommy's the adult. And mommy always right. But I don't like how he's hold my hand. You know, so let the child develop those boundaries. Understand what they like and don't. And sometimes that's a bit tricky too, you know. But you have to guide them. And if they say they don't want to do something, they don't want to be embraced by somebody, please don't force them to. It's not right. You're so right.
Even unfortunately, kids playing with other kids should be allowed to say, I don't want to play that game. Because older kids could take liberties with younger kids. Right? If you have a cousin that they're not particular about or they don't really want to overnight, and there are certain things that suggest that a child is uncomfortable, and while it might be inconvenient for you as a parent that the child don't want to go this place or don't want to play with that one, at least take the time to investigate.
Why?
Gently, right? But to investigate well.
That's going to be difficult for some parents, because that takes a lot of like self-awareness. That takes a lot of slowing down your mind and observing a situation. And we are so busy working, so busy trying to take care of home, we forget like what is really important, having that relationship with our child. You know, so you'd find that sometimes the signs right in front of you, but you're just not seeing that. Every weekend you send them by the cousin, and every weekend they cry. Every weekend they tell you, I don't want to go, and you still do it. You never stop to ask a question of, well, why you don't want to go? Why you work up yourself so? You know, what happened? We're so busy. Instead of slowing down to read the signs and look at our children and understand what they're feeling.
For the first time ever in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, we now have a public sex offenders website.
Wow, you're so lucky. I say you're, I'm me too, but I in Dominican, we do have that.
Right?
We have that.
As we have this interview, I am actually on the website now, and you're able to go up and search for the offenders by areas and stuff like that. You could find the website at www.sexoffenders.gov.tt. All right.
I was here already.
You mean you visited
You
the
were
website?
searching the website.
Yeah, because that didn't sound too right. Anyhow, but I'm just putting that information there purely based on the fact that prior to now, you did not have a registry. You didn't have a list of persons who you are known offenders. So there is progress being made for the population to know, hey, John Doe or Jane Doe is a sex offender.
Yeah, I'll give that. Yes, definitely.
Right. However, as Ricardo said before, you still need to teach your children safe touches, inappropriate touches. You need to create that safe space for your children to speak up if something is uncomfortable, even if it's with a family member.
But
and when I say family member, talking about if even as a parent, and it really hurts me to even say that part of it.
That must be happening. That's the reality.
So I can't hug my own child. Or are you telling me Listen.
can't hug or I can't sleep with my own child. I can't impregnate my own child.
I don't know. Off topic here really quickly because I'm gonna drop my line, but there's one thing I wanna ask. You see constantly in movies and on TV now the concept of a parent kissing the child on the lips.
You find that's a new thing? I think I've always been seeing that.
Well, since you say you're always seeing it,
Aaron, you made a statement. Do you have a question?
I was gonna ask a question though, but
Oh,
you
this is me being supportive. This is me being supportive and encouraging.
I interrupted.
No. I was gonna do that anyway. Don't worry yourself.
That's what Ricardo does. Anyhow, for me, in my personal opinion, I could be wrong, and I stand to be corrected here. I see that as something as an appropriate touch between a parent and a child.
Okay.
Could you tell me differently before we?
I don't see that in any book. In no child section of his book, like kissing on lips is something that's in a prelude to, I just think that is just a thing of opinion, that's your choice. I mean, we don't want to see any deep kissing, right? I would think that's a bit too much to me. That's where you're laughing, but that's a bit too much to me. I think that's crossed the line. There are some parents that's how they do their thing. That's how they show their love. I also think it's, I'll be honest, kind of unhygienic. That's my opinion, right? People don't get vexed with me. This is just my opinion. I would not do it with my child because, I just think it's unhygienic and it's just not my way of showing affection to my child. But if it is somebody else's way, I don't see that being a problem. And I'm sure if it's done in a particular manner, we will know it's inappropriate. We will know.
I was going to say something that would have get me taken off air indefinitely, so that's what I'm covering my mouth.
Aaron, I don't tell you. I realize you like to play Pandora. You like to crack the box just enough for the trouble to come out, but you don't really open it all the way, I know that this week, in part, over the past couple of days, there was a major news headline about inappropriate act between a very well-known international public figure.
Why can't we say it?
You see, it have a you know what fact is news. It was on the news.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've seen people come to the defense of the differences in cultures and all. I'm telling you, I like to err on the side of caution. Right? That is how I roll. I find, but then again, it's not about what Ricardo find. Right? You're right. A lot of things are subject to opinion and personal boundaries and preferences and things. All I saying is, I not on that. Anyway.
I'm not kissing my child and I'm not kissing my dog. Anyhow, with that being said, we are getting perilously close to the hour of 7 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
So Tanya, we would like to extend the invitation for you to come back. We would also try to extend the invitation to Lana and Sean to join us for that show. We want to thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I felt like I didn't do much though.
Trust me, you did a lot. Right? I would also ask that you FedEx some smoked chicken bone soup or whatever it is.
I can't FedEx this soup. Come on now, let's keep it real. I could probably FedEx some smoked chicken for you, and you make the same soup you make back home and just put the chicken inside it. Just like a pigtail. Just put it in and let it flavor the soup.
But Tanya, any closing remarks, shout outs on your social media contacts?
I just like to say again, thanks for having me. And as you guys know, I'm ambassador for the Child Protection Society, Dominica. I am hoping we're going to do a lot of things happening in Dominica this summer in really reaching out to the kids and like reading that book from Dr. Amina. in touch, I'll tell, about voice power and using that to, keep your perpetrators, I say perpetrators, but you know what I mean? Those people that like to prey on you and
Predators.
think that they're predators. That's the word. Thank you. Keeping
He's
your
so eloquent at
predators,
times.
keeping your predators away. So I'm hoping to do some more of that read out loud sort of thing this summer, and some presentations to educate the children on what is really child sexual abuse and prepare them. That's just the mission, and I'll keep you guys in touch with that. I think that would be something fun. But I'm over here on Facebook. That's my main account, Tanya Dickson. I talk about a lot of things over there. But that's where I can be reached. Also at tanyamarid@gmail.com. Yeah.
And as we expressed last week, the 11th commandment, the unwritten commandment, is thou shalt not slide into the DMs.
Oh Lord, you can slide into my DMs if it's about business, that kind of a thing. But I otherwise, please don't. Yeah, don't slide into the DMs.
Right, well done. Ricardo, anything from you as we wrapping up?
I just want to thank you again, Tanya, for the work that you've been doing. Sophia Miriam Foundation Season 3 coming up, so we will be in touch because I believe you have a lot to offer these young ladies in terms of conversation and guidance and plain talk bad manners. I could say what I want, right? I could say what I want. I have not had your experiences and I will not have a lot of your experiences. So you being able to use your voice for these young women is an important thing. And I want to thank you again for your willingness. I want to thank you for the work you've been doing, the time that you spend on it, the personal time you put into becoming better educated and more sophisticated in this thing. So that when we having these conversations, people realize, wait, she have no obligation and not getting paid to do this. This is something that means something.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
And as you say that, I just want to leave with that remark because I think a lot of parents keep wondering how to protect. And it really just is a combination, guys. It's a combination of you building that relationship with your child so they're confident enough to speak to you openly. And if it's not you, it's okay to have a trusted adult. And basically, get some protective apps, people. Get some programs. Get some web filters. Nothing wrong with taking that phone and putting a screen time thing that the phone shuts down after a period of time, or you block certain things. Nothing is wrong, or you could shut it off from your phone. Yeah. So let's get a little more tech savvy and literate and start to really help our children. Let's put more effort into it.
I like that. So for me, this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the local stage, global stage. Thanking you for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. I'm sorry, I'm a huge advocate for putting the responsibility where it lies. Your kids having to navigate this life out here, they need your support more than they need your condemnation. And where you could protect them and prepare them, that is way easier. That is way easier than having to help them recover. Anyway, I good day before I start to preach. Aaron?
You sure you're good?
I good. Don't. You know what? Now that you turn it back over to me.
Actually, no. We actually, Mr. Desmond, watching us hard on the screen right now. Just to add to what Ricardo said, guys, for the elders in society, the same way that we have learned to generate broadcast messages on a morning with the same good morning message that you send every day, it's the same way you could download the app that could monitor what is going on your son or your daughter's phone. The same way how you have learned that you could have a collision warning on a car, it's the same way that you could have a warning of the change in behavior of your child. The same way that you could learn how to stream all your new movies and series on whatever site, it's the same way you could go on YouTube and look for a video or join a free seminar that teaches you about these things. Guys, the same way you could also go online and search for the tribute, hashtag tribute30, and you'll find my mixes too. I just had to throw that in there.
That was amazing.
Right? So guys,
That's a plug.
Yeah, but I always remind you guys that culture is my code. And I tell you that love is the currency. So spend some today. Let somebody know that you love them, guys. All right. Mr. Desmond is in the building and he is patiently allowed us to probably go over by a couple minutes. So thank you very much, Mr. Desmond.
Thanks, Mr. Desmond.
And that's it. The big band is up next. Yours truly, DJ Aaron. Catch me again on Friday inside the Friday Night Fete. Keep it locked.